Good morning, afternoon, or evening, I suppose, depending on when you're watching this. Um, this video is going to be about 7 things that I've learned from the leadership course that I'm taking. And so let's jump in. Number 1 on my list is the inherent clumsiness and blurriness of titles and positions. We like to really hang our hats on, at least I know I used to, on roles and titles, whether it be characters or concrete descriptions of roles. And it's very important that both as a leader and a teammate that you're kind of jumping out of those roles and stepping down or stepping up, depending on where you are in a chain of command. And so as leader, it's important to kind of step away from the phone calls and the meetings and the minutiae and the spreadsheets and go be a grunt and go be, on the front lines. And whether that's helping customers or that's packing boxes or that's training somebody, that's super important, right? It reminds you what your team is going through. As a teammate and as part of a team, it's important to communicate with your leader and really get a clear intent of what they want. And what I mean by that is how they would kind of go about things. And you're not asking for your hand to be held, especially for every decision, but just get in their head. And if you can get in a leader's head and you can make better decisions on how to do your day-to-day tasks, you could even start doing things that aren't asked of you in the spirit that the leader would want to be done. And so that is what I mean by the clumsiness and the blurriness between titles, is that there can be that shift up and down the chain in terms of actions. Number 2 is, I have been working on this before, but I've really added a constant and relentless audit of my perception. What I mean by that is I am looking at if I am too comfortable or complacent. I am looking at if I'm actually prioritizing things. And I don't mean just writing things on a list. I mean, am I actually doing item number 1, the most important thing? Or am I skipping down to 7 because 7 may be a little bit more fun, right? Am I looking at bequeathed values and contracts? And what I mean by that is, I used to look at things like success and entrepreneurship and money in a very different light. I got my old perspective from my father. My father, for some reason, I'm not sure why, would always look at people that were self-made and that were successful even as kind of cheating the system. And he was always confused at how they were able to get ahead. And when I realized that I was taking on that emotion and that rationality, I immediately disregarded it and I wrote my own rules. So that's what I mean by bequeathed values and contracts, things that were almost osmotically given to you as opposed to things you've developed yourself. And also, I'm constantly looking at if I really need to ask for help. There are some things that sometimes you kind of feel foolish for asking for help in order to accomplish. And to check that ego and to ask is really important. Number 3 is looking at the relationship with others. In terms of specifically if I need to manage and lead others, it's very important to look at finding a fit for each individual, but to also assume plasticity. So finding a fit meaning to look at their skills and preferences. Assuming plasticity means that you assume that anybody and everybody can change. I have changed. I've seen people change. It is possible. It is very real. So it's very possible that somebody can mold themselves into a role or a form. Okay. However, the third thing on that list is to not assume tabula rasa. So what tabula rasa means is a blank slate. When you have somebody that's part of your team, you can't assume that they're a blank slate. They bring with them said skills and baggage and preferences, And so that kind of ties in with finding a fit, but it's very easy to look at somebody as just somebody who fills a schedule and somebody who's just this blank slate and a cog that you can slide in and out of positions, okay? So that's it for number 3 in terms of just working with others and things that I've learned. Number 4 is setting up tap-in goals. And this literally means I look at hockey, and when I think about tap-in goals and I think about players that have been on a scoring slump and they end up changing their stick and changing how they tape things and changing which skate to tie up first and changing pregame meal and line mates and all that sort of thing. But what really counts is the easiest thing is to just simply go and play the game and get into the dirty areas, get where the puck is going to be, which means get in front of the net and to hope a puck hits that player. Hope that you can direct the puck, or whether it be a shot or a pass that's going just wide, and to just direct it 3 inches in the other direction. Okay, tap in goals, very easy, uncontested sort of things. Now, when it comes to setting up goals, it's the same thing. And I was also reminded when we're going through the coursework and we're talking about goals of a book I read once upon a time called Triggers by Marshall Goldsmith. And he talks about how if you want to create change, you ask yourself, am I, you don't do it binary, meaning, did I work out today? Yes or no. It's, did I do my best to work out today? 1 to 10. Okay. And in doing that, you're writing your own quiz. And if there's 3 things you want to change, you're writing those questions and you're setting it up to make it easy. So it's not even just a matter of, like, for example, working out. It's was I active for 10 minutes today, right? Something stupid simple, and that you can get 10 out of 10 on every day without trying. And then slowly you can change that scale or that qualifier, right? Yeah, that's something I really learned is to apply and utilize tap-in goals. Number 5 on my list was a reminder to myself to empower others. It is very easy, especially if you're hard charging and you like to take charge and ownership and leadership of tasks or assignments. It's very easy to remove ownership from other people, especially if they're part of your team, right? You know you can get it done faster. Sure, of course. What I've had to do is really make sure that, like in point 1, I'm recommending asking for intent. I'm giving intent and guidelines, right? I'm kind of having that conversation with people, whether it be family or teammates or friends, okay? And also with that is, if you're in control of something, the delegation you give out, you want to make sure that if something goes awry, that it is probably fixable or reversible, so it's not permanent, and it's not catastrophic, right? So it's not going to set the house on fire, you're not going to lose your job, that sort of thing. So by doing that, you're giving these little cookies of empowerment to people, and then the cookie can grow and become more complicated and have more stakes. So empowerment has been something that I've learned to work with over the course of the semester. Number 6, having an illustrative vision. So having a vision is one thing, and it reminded me of a podcast I listened to with Scott Adams, who is the creator of Dilbert. He is a hypnotist, and he talks about hypnotism as the power of suggestion. And in that, he talks about how it's important to specifically make things concrete in somebody's mind when you're creating a vision, and they're envisioning something as opposed to just a string of buzzwords. And that thing should be a beacon of light, and it should be something to move towards as opposed to being kind of repulsive. Okay. Number 7, and it kind of ties everything together, is the importance of action. Now, oration is super important, right? It's the ability to give a speech, to empower that way is important. But taking action and leading by example is probably by far the most important thing that I've learned so far. So that was my list of 7 things that I learned from the course. Hope you enjoyed it.